Hello everyone, Namaste, I'm Nikita and in today's video we are sketching a portrait. I've been getting a lot of requests related to how to sketch a portrait. So finally I'll be sharing some very easy and important hacks on how you can get the proportions, the measurements, the features right in a portrait sketch. Okay, so in this video I'll be sharing how to make the proportions, measurements and make the outline basically, and in the next video I'll be covering the values. Okay, so how to do the shading part with your pencils. I'm really looking forward to this video because I know that you all are going to learn quite a lot, because I am spilling out most of my sketching secrets here. And yes, we are doing a celebrity portrait, so you have to get the features also similar, so you can actually compare the reference and the sketch and see how much accuracy you have in relation with the similarity of the face, the expressions and all. Okay, so let's start with it. So this is the reference that we'll be using today, and what I want you to do with the reference is that either of the two things that I'm sharing right now, you can either zoom into the picture this much, maybe you can compare the size of the face with the space that you have on your page. So I think this much of the size is fine. If I make the face this big, it would fit well onto my A4 size sheet. Or you can take a printout of this image on A4 size paper and use that printout as your reference, because I'll be sharing a measuring technique with you. So what we'll have to do basically is you have to zoom into the picture and remember to not zoom in or zoom out in between. Just stay on the same size all along, and then we'll be measuring the lengths, the heights, everything, the gaps in between, and we'll be following those measurements on our sketch. So that is why you can either zoom into your screen. If you have an iPad, then nothing like it, or you can take a printout. I'm using this phone right now. I'm not using a printout because I think this is the most accessible option for me right now. So what I'll do here is I will kind of, if you have a printout, you can just sketch on your printout, or you can doodle on your image if you're using a phone or a tablet. So what I'm doing here is I'm just marking out rough lines, one from the hairline, second one from the eyebrows, third one from the nose tip, and then the fourth one from the chin tip. Okay, so these are the 4 lines that I've marked out right now. Now what we'll do after this is we'll go to our original size that we are planning to make, and what we'll do here is we'll start marking out these lines. Now when you're marking out this line, you have to make sure that you are following the angle also, like you're not making it straight. If you're seeing that the line is inclined in the reference, you're making the angle also similar to what you see in the reference. Then what we'll do is we'll measure the gap in between these 2 orange lines, and then okay, so I'm using my pencil to take these measurements. You don't have to use a ruler for this. Just take rough measurements like this. So the tip of the pencil and the tip of my index finger is what marks the height between these 2 lines, and this is how I'll follow these measurements. So I'll just make these lines a little darker so that it's easily captured on the video, and then I'm going down. Always make sure to cross check your measurements. Okay, once you make your markings, always remember to cross check it. And then I'll go down without zooming out or zooming in. This is a very important point that you need to keep in mind, that you're not again zooming in and zooming out, otherwise your proportions are going to go off. Okay, so always cross check your measurements. So I have marked out these lines, and now what I'll do is I will start from I'll pick up a point on this reference and I'll start from one edge of the face. Let's start from the hairline. So whatever shapes that I'm seeing, you can see that I'm starting with this area right now. Okay, so I'm going down after this point. Now a very important step over here that you can keep in mind is that for every little shape or every little turn, you can tally these measurements. So if you see that there's a curve going like this, you can check if you've drawn the curve accurately, if you've drawn the right size of the curve or not. Okay, so you can make this curve and then check this measurement. So this is a great exercise for your eyes, for your eye and hand coordination, where you're taking measurements and then you're following the measurements in your sketch. Okay, so here maybe Then this is where the eyebrow comes. So for every little detail, you will take measurements and you will follow those measurements. Okay, so this is what the technique is, and this is a great hack where you can take the reference of the same size as you plan to make it on your paper. So your reference and paper and your sketch size has to be same. If you're taking a printout, then your printout size and your paper size has to be same. Okay, so this is one thing that you need to keep in mind. And then what you have to do is you just have to, first you'll see that it gets easier for your eyes also to guess how much far I have to go. So without even measuring also, you'll see that you are making accurate proportions, because the size that you're seeing on the reference is equal to the size that you're drawing here. So your eye would automatically make it accurate as to what you're seeing it in the reference. And even if it's not accurate, what you can do is you can just simply go to the reference. So if I'm confused over here, if this to this length, the width that I've taken here is accurate or not, I can just measure this and I can check this measurement in my drawing. Okay, so you can easily check the proportions side by side. You can tally the proportions. It's not that you will have to always take the measurement first and then start drawing it. You can draw it first and then you can start tallying the measurements if you feel something is going off, or if you are not feeling confident about the shape that you have drawn or the size you have drawn. Okay, I'll erase the bindi over here. I don't think we need it right now. So we'll start off with the most important features, that is the eyebrows, eyes, nose, lips, all of that, and then we'll do the face cut. Okay, so if I'm confused how much space I'm supposed to leave in between the eyebrows, I'll just measure it, tally it, and then I'll start drawing the other eyebrow. So first thing you'll notice while sketching from this technique is that without even taking the measurements, you will draw accurate proportions. No, if not 100% accurate, around 70% accurate proportions, because the size of what you are seeing in front of you is similar to the size of the sketch that you're making. Okay, so let me just go back to the reference and check. Maybe a bit longer from here. Okay, so this is the size that I'm talking about. The next thing is to check the angles as well. So here you can see that this eyebrow is going a little tilted and this eyebrow is a little straight. It's not that tilted. So I'll check the angle with my pencil and I'll check the angle of the eyebrow as well. So these angles also should match, and then size of course should match. So this angle and this angle is same. This angle and this angle is same. So angles, sizes, and the gaps in between, all of this needs to go hand in hand. Okay, one more time I'll cross check this measurement. So it's always better to keep checking the measurements, the gaps in between everything. Okay, you can even check the thickness of the eyebrow as well. Then I'll start off with the nose. So for the nose, I have this reference point here. Now, for the nose, the most important thing here is to check the angle. Then you can measure the width of the nose. Okay, I'll cross check my measurements one more time. The nose needs to be a little shorter. So this is why cross-checking your measurements is very important, because sometimes what happens is you have taken a measurement before but it's not accurate. So it's always better to tally your measurements when you're finalizing your features or your shapes or your sizes. Okay, now here the nose is going inwards. So there's a little indent happening here, and then it's going like this. There's a highlight here, marking the highlight as well. checking the width of the nose multiple times here. Okay, so the nose is roughly drawn, and then I'll start drawing the right eye. So here you can see I'll first measure the gap between the waterline part of the eye and the eyebrow. Okay, so this is the gap. So this is the lowest point in the eye. Okay, so the proportion of eye versus the eyebrow should be accurate. And then I'll measure the height of the eye. So this is the eyelid curve and this is the waterline curve. Okay, let me keep it closer. Make sure you're not changing the size, you're not zooming out or zooming in. Okay, so the size remains same. And then I'll see where exactly the eye is starting from. If I compare it with the nose, it's starting right next to the nose. So probably here. And then I'll draw the shape of the eye. Okay, now at this point you need to check the length of the eye. How much is the length of the eye? Checking the height and the length one more time. Okay, so checking or tallying your measurements proportions is very important. Now I'll make the crease line here. This one is easy. I always prefer to color inside or to shade inside the iris to get a better idea about the shape of the eye or the depth of the eye. Okay, now I'll make this outline of the face. So there's a little indent happening here. I'll check the measurement. So just the measurement is not enough. You will have to check the shapes as well, like if you're making the shapes accurately or not. So that is also equally important. So here, what's the shape like? So this is like an S curve and then it's going like this. Okay, so this is the shape of the line that we have here. Then at this point, I'll check the width, the gap between the cheek and the nose as well. So every little step that you're taking here has to follow the measurement. So you have to cross check the measurement at every little step that you're taking here. Then there is this fold in the cheek over here, and then there is this shadow. There's a little highlight here, this one. Okay, now further, before continuing further down, I'll first draw the lips. So for the lips, you can see that it's aligned, this corner is aligned with the nose, straight alignment with the nose. And then what is the gap in between? So if I were to draw this middle line, what is the gap? Like how far do I need to go from the nose? So you can measure this. So the technique is going to be same for all the features. You can see that my tentative line that I had drawn earlier roughly was also accurate because what I'm seeing is equal to what I'm drawing. So this technique, it's not necessary to always measure each and every little step that you're drawing. Just by looking at it, you will be able to guess how far you need to go, how big you need to draw. So that is why I feel that this hack is very, very important for beginners, because instead of tracing or instead of using the grid method, the box by box grid method, you use this method. It trains your mind and your hand in such a beautiful way that after a point you do not feel the need to measure each and every line or proportion. You just start measuring with your eyes. Okay, now the width of the lips. So this is the center line that I've drawn right now, and I think I'll have to make it a little bit longer because it goes a little beyond the nose here. Let me measure. Yes, this is accurate. And then the top lip. So the top lip is thicker here, thinner here. A little bit of foreshortening is happening. So you have to observe your reference very, very precisely. Very, very detailed observation is needed to get correct proportion, especially when you're doing celebrity portraits. Okay, now the bottom lip is quite thick. So let me cross check the height of the top lip. This is accurate. Now the height of the bottom lip is almost this much. This one is quite thick. And then there's a little bit of gap opening in the mouth. Okay, so once the sketch is complete, our work is not done yet. We need to cross check. Like, I like to cross check or tally the proportions one more time, because I do feel that some of the angles, maybe the face is looking a little longer in my sketch if you compare it with the reference picture. Okay, so some things are looking a little off. So before I go ahead and start adding paints or values to my sketch, I will cross check all the measurements one more time. Okay, so now I'll go into more precision. So here I feel that the face is looking a little longer. How will I work through this is, I'll firstly zoom in the picture to the same size. This is important. And then maybe I'll measure from the tip of the eyebrow here to the fold in the cheekbone here, fold in the cheek here. So here you can see my fold is going a little lower and the reference picture has it a little shorter. So this length is a little longer in my case. So that means this needs to curve a little sooner. It needs to go a little up. Okay, so this is one thing that I'm correcting right now. And then maybe I'll check the height of the nose here. Height of the nose is fine. Width of the nose. So whatever seems a little off in the sketch, I am just cross-checking all of that. Okay, so height of the forehead, whatever is accurate, I'm not touching it. Here, this needs to come a little down. Forehead is a little shorter here. And then this eye seems like it's a little off. So what I'll do is first I'll measure if the eye placement is accurate in comparison with the eyebrow, and then in comparison with the other eye. Okay, and then the angle of the eye as well. Everything seems fine. Then I'll check the eye gap in comparison with the nose or the nostril. Everything seems fine here. Once I am sure that my placement is accurate, then I'll go inside the eye. Okay, maybe something is off inside the eye, that is why it's not looking accurate. So what I'll do here is I'll probably look at the size of the eye, the size of the white part, the eyeball part, height of the eye, height of the opening of the eye. Okay, so whenever you see that something is looking off in your sketch, you first look at the placement of that feature. Like, is it placed accurately in comparison with the other eye, the forehead, eyebrow, nose, all of that? And then once that is final, once you have checked that, then you go into the micro level, like you go into the detail of the eye. You look at the precision. Now I'll go into the other eye. Checking the angles. This corner needs to go up. So minor things. In the first attempt, when I was drawing the eye, I did not look at the precise details. I did not go into the precise details. Now is the time when you start going into the precise details. Now that I'm sure that my face is looking like Lata Mangeshkar, like it's looking like the person who I wanted to draw, now I'll further refine it. Okay, so right now you can say that it is 70% like Lata Mangeshkar, not 100%. But as you see me refine the sketch more and more, you'll see that it's going to look almost 90 to 100% similar to the reference.